So now I wanted to have a discussion about Locke's representational ideas. And in order to really grasp that, of course, you have to look into his cause and effect arguments and descriptors of the material objective. We don't have a clear and distinct objective way of looking at objects, perhaps, but we have these sort of ideas that go on different arrangements of simplistic Newtonian spatial qualities of the body. We have this sort of intuitiveness towards that. It's kind of in a kind of indebtedness to Descartes, if you will. And so obviously there's loads of implications going forward for Locke, and the thought coming out of that going all the way to Kant, where you have representations of ideas as opposed to what's objectively materially out there. So Locke says outside of the primary qualities of shape and those sort of distinctors, everything else is just purely on a subjective sense basis towards our understanding of these qualities. So, for example, it's the rose isn't really scented. It's actually your subjective sense of the nose. It's on a purely subjective experience. So that really kind of also maybe needs to harken out with what it means for him to reflect, which is also important. It's kind of it's more of a reflective. You also incorporate the fact that you are being reflective of these abstract ideas that we'll go on about later. That makes this whole process work. And so, simple ideas, of course, is more in that Aristotelian tradition of particulars and particular things and particular secondary qualities of, this hoodie isn't actually purple. We, see the purple. We have the idea of what degreeness of purple this hoodie is. And to that varying degree of our perception, but nonetheless, it's these ideas, these generalizations. He's, in a way, explicitly kind of gutting the metaphysical traditions of forms and bringing it to a cause and effect sort of probability analysis in a way that will come, in centuries later. But he also has that sort of phrase that's sort of an inversion of Descartes, where something I know not has the primary qualities of something I know not what has out of those primary qualities. And in the discussion of infinity during his time, of course, you can just extrapolate from the last particular that stretched the so-called mental construct of what infinity is, and out of that infer onto the next particular that stretches the so-called bound of what we consider infinity in relation to. And you can also kind of see the thread of ideas of the scholastic nominal thinking of Hobbes and what will be his contemporaries with Berkeley and other Anglo thinkers. But he also kind of has his own distinction, all of his own, with his own concept of these abstracts. These abstractions are mental powers that he wants to build out, that doesn't necessarily put him in the same mold as the rest of the materialists on the island. It also could be an interesting aside to see how he's going to build out of ethics and politics and how that will affect the American political system through the stream of thought of differentiating between ideas and concepts such as freedom of speech as opposed to the actual action itself. There's power behind these, mental capacities to be able to think in this abstract reasoning, but there's also a difference between actually acting upon it all of its own. And so the differentiation between the two, of course, is very problematic in discussions of ethics and politics going forward. And I also think perhaps this could also be an interesting way to hark back to his belief that's based off of proportions of evidence out of these complex abstract ideas of particular things. And so to Locke, while yes, there is no innate universals to go for, there is these sort of abstract ideas, these essences of particular places or things or mental capacities or its prowess. He's, of course, like I mentioned, gutting the sort of metaphysical tradition and going for this sort of general consensus of these mental properties. And out of that, of course, he builds the belief and hearkening it off of the proportion of evidence that you could have, these sort of demonstration that we can build that is true of all classes. This isn't just social constructs for the monarch or the state, but it's actually true of all class systems and of all time, at least in Locke's mind, would be these sort of empirical generalizations as opposed to a metaphysical form. And I think that's an important distinction to perhaps make going forward. Another interesting distinction perhaps to make in the Anglo tradition going forward will of course be between cause and effect. What's correlation as compared to conjuncture? And this is something that's kind of interesting to pick up on with people like Hume, where he's going to abandon the effort of trying to make causal sort of connections between different particular events. He's going to say it's a vain effort, that we can't actually do that. Locke's going to say that it's done on a kind of voluntarily done basis. He's going to say that we choose to take these sort of simplistic ideas and form complexities out of them because of the use of abstractions and being able to reflect back and live the reasoned life, as it were, would probably be how he would put it, I would say. But yeah, these are kind of interesting insights, I think, to look at when it comes to Locke and how he builds the sort of Enlightenment political system going forward. And we might make another video, I might make another video for you guys to digest on his ethical basis and perhaps a little bit on the political system. It just depends. If you guys are into that, let me know. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys for more of these cause and effect thinkers going forward before we get to Kant. Thanks for watching.